almost afternoon. Hey! I know this Good. How are you? Girls, I've only seen you in pictures. How are you? You're just proud. I don't even know what to do. Oh my gosh. So good morning. You know what? I appreciate you stalwart few who are hanging in there on a Sunday. This is a hard day for convention people. We don't need it.
I mean, put the mic. I have the mic.
I don't think we need it. I don't think we need it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm Luci Christian. I'm probably going to stand a little bit too, just because I'm going to be sitting on a plane in a little bit. I'm Luci Christian. I live in Houston, Texas. I am amazingly a voice actor in this business, which is just crazy. Nothing I could ever have planned in a million years. And I assume most of you already know me and what I do and all that. No? There's one in the back like, not really. So, okay. So, thank you for being here. That's amazing that you were here. Taking a gamble on me this morning. I got into the industry about 18 years ago. And I got into it when what is now Sentai Filmworks was ADV Films. That was in Houston. And I just happened to hit at a really good time and happened to have a voice that's really well suited to this medium. There was an audition and I went and I thought I was awful. I went home and told my roommate at the time, I'm never going to be asked back. I'm super bad at this. And Don Rush, who was the director there at the time, was casting Full Metal Panic the next week and just happened to have me in. And I was cast as the lead in Full Metal Panic and was like, what is anime internet? Like, was totally clueless. And now, you know, a million years later, there's this random episode, season 4 of Full Metal Panic that I'm doing, and now for Funimation, and ADV is now Sentai Filmworks, and everything is different. But that's how I got into it. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm Ochako in My Hero Academia.
Yep.
I'm Nami in One Piece that has a million episodes. I'm Medusa in Soul Leader. And what else? There are over 300 titles. I can't even believe it.
Honey Senpai.
Honey Senpai and Oran Host Club, yes.
How can you
That's a big one. That's kind of important.
Miss Yukui for Azumagayo.
In Azumanga I missed Yukari, best teacher ever.
Those Who Hunt Elves.
Those Who Hunt Elves was my very first show ever. I was called Lena, a house elf or waitress, wench or something. Again, that was back when I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. They're never having me back. I don't even know what this is. I did that. Doonin in the Appleseed franchise.
Samurai 7.
Is super great. Komachi in Samurai 7. Needed cuteness in that show, right?
Based on one of my favorite Japanese movies.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And that is an incredible anime. Tetsunosuke Peacemaker. There are so many that it's, again, bananas that I get to do this. But let's do a Q&A because that's what is usually most interesting. Do you have any questions? It can be about anything related to this industry, about my life, about how because I do anime, but I don't just do anime. I don't think I could support myself if I just did anime. How I balance, I'm also a mom and a wife, and I'm super involved in my community, which is a trip and hard sometimes to balance all of these different things. You know, like this weekend, I'm here and I'm not at home celebrating Mother's Day right now. But I will be later. I will be. It's always a balance. Anyway, any questions? Just start talking. Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been doing audiobooks?
That's cool. That's one of the things I do. I do audiobooks from home. And how I got into that is super interesting because Chris Patton was doing them. Some of you know who Chris Patton is. He was doing them, and he helped introduce me to this company. This is the magic of living in the here and now. I have never met these people. They live in Oregon. We do everything online. It's crazy. So I submitted a sample to them, and they said, hey, yeah, you sound like a good reader. And that was about, I'm going to say about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, 6 years ago maybe. And we were working through, this is also kind of a sad tale about how industry and things go right now. I started doing it, and Chris Patton and I both used the same engineer. We would go to his house to record, and then that guy would edit our stuff and upload it to the interwebs, and then after, and it was great because it's this great part-time job, and we were paid per finished hour. So you're not paid for the time it takes you to do it, but if it's a 6-hour audiobook, then you're paid, you have a rate per hour. And then when my second daughter was born, and she was about a year old, I started having panic attacks. And I would drive myself to the ER and go, I'm having a heart attack. And they would go, no, not really. And I'd be like, you know I am. And they would say, do you have, are you anxious? And I would say, no, I'm busy. Everybody's busy. But my body was telling me that I needed to slow down. So I ended up taking my work away from that engineer. One of the things I did was put a studio at my house so that I could work at home more. And it was a really good decision, but again, this is kind of what is happening all over the industry for various reasons is you used to go and it was more collaborative. And that guy is good at doing what he does, and I'm good at doing what I do, and I show up and we work together and I go away and he does his work. And a lot of studios are being cut out now because more and more actors and various people are putting studios at home. Because you don't have to share your paycheck. And it's easier. Then for me, it was a mental health, like saving my life. But I started doing them from my house. And the nice thing too is because when my kids were little, I would put them to bed and I would go work for a couple hours in my closet. So, and you can do that. That's the thing. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a home studio. I spent, start to finish, probably $1,200 on the microphone and the preamp and the soundproofing and all the hoo-ha. I spent probably $1,200. I made that back in my first book. So, it's not that expensive when you look at the grand scheme, and you don't even have to spend that much if you don't want to. But definitely, if you're going to put something up, try to be economical, but also get nice things, good things that are going to hopefully work.
So when you started, did you have to do a demo for people?
When I first started, so I'm going to answer this as an actor. I was already an actor. And so as a part of being an actor, this is how I know Cashel. I got my master's degree in theater from LSU. So I was here for 3 years. And when I got out of LSU, I wanted to go to New York but didn't have any money. And I didn't know anybody. So this is like the tale, right? But I have an aunt who lives in Houston who could connect me with a day job immediately. So I went to Houston to make enough money to go to New York. And the agent I got in Houston within a week of getting there is my agent today. I just started booking voice work and not realizing that was what my life was gonna have so much of. I started booking voice work really quickly, and so I had a demo made for my agent to have on the website. Because when you get an agent, a lot of times they will house your demo on their website. Because some clients are down and dirty and don't have time and just go to the agency website and go shopping through the demos. And you are hired. They'll call you and say, hey, so-and-so wants you for a booking. Can you do Thursday at 2? Awesome. It's an awesome call to get, and I didn't even have to work for it except that initial demo, right? If you are just trying to break in, I would say yes, get a demo made. For instance, I think Sarah was talking about maybe wanting to try Voices123 or Voices.com. I am not an expert in those venues, but I know some people have been successful. Be aware that some of them are pay to play. You might have to, they may want you to pay a monthly premium or something to get the breakdowns or whatever. And if you're willing to do that to get some exposure and some work, then do that. but they're probably going to want you to have a demo. Because what you'll do is you'll upload demo or snippets of your type, and that's how people go shopping for you on those things. So, and a good demo is 60 seconds, and it is only to show your range. That is what a demo does. So you don't need to talk a lot like as each different thing. You just need to give people maybe an idea that you can do 5 or 6 different things. So you'll want something to be real selly and something to be really understated. And if it's an anime demo, I don't have an anime demo, I have a commercial demo. But you're just trying to show your range. You know, that you could be a young girl, that you could be a more mature person or a professional person, or maybe that you can do an accent. But I'm here to tell you, most people want a very generic sound. They want it so that you could be from anywhere, everywhere. And yeah, and a demo shouldn't cost, I don't know, it shouldn't cost more than $500, and hopefully less than that. If they're producing it and also giving you the words to say and everything, I could see them charging maybe $500 if it's good. And you will know that it's good. Here's an excellent way to know if it's good. Go to a big market website, or like my agent's website. I'm with Pastor and Bosby in Houston, or an LA market website, and listen to real actor demos. And whoever makes yours, send them the link and say, I want to sound like that. I don't want anybody to be able to tell the difference between mine and theirs. Right? You just want people to think that you're a pro and that to take you seriously. And then when you have a demo, you can approach agents, you can put it online. You can create your own website. Go to GoDaddy.com and create your own website. How's your demo? And tweet your demo out, or tweet your stuff out. Those are all things that are totally within your purview. You can do those things.
Mm-hmm. And you were saying earlier, or maybe about the USB mics. Do you recommend a certain type, certain name, brand?
I don't have a USB mic, but I know some people have loved theirs. So I would just, internet reviews are usually pretty good. I mean, people who work with equipment are usually super detailed in their reviews about what is good. So generally it's pretty good. I don't have that. I bought a little baby preamp, and I still use it. When I upgrade one day, I may change it, but it served me, and nobody can tell the difference right now. I have a Presonus preamp, and the mic that I got is like I'll have to look it up. I'll tell you what it is. I don't even know, but it's a condenser mic. It's and it came with the cage. It came with everything that. Then my preamp came with the free software at Studio One Artist. It is not that dissimilar from Audacity or any other free software. But again, I don't need Pro Tools. I will reiterate, I am an actor. I am not an engineer. I can do exactly what I need the stuff to do, and beyond that, it is Greek. I don't know. In fact, my husband was like, when we were setting it up, and I was like, I do not even know how to record myself. I don't know any of this. I don't know what that thing means. And he goes, you've been doing this 20 years. What is wrong with you? And I said, I'm on the other side. I'm on this side of the glass. I don't see any of that. I don't know what they do out there. They're the magic makers. They make me sound good. I don't know. But yeah, I'll look it up and I'll tell you what it is. So yeah, check it out. I don't have a USB mic I would recommend. But I'll tell you this, a lot of mics are good now. You can get a good microphone for not that much money. I'm pretty sure mine was about $400. And I work with the nice mics. I work with Neumanns and Sennheisers and all of those. And every now and then, some studio I've left goes, we forgot to get a thing. Can you just record this from your house and send it in? And I always think, is this when they're going to go, ew, your mic doesn't, it doesn't match. You need to come back. Never gotten that. In fact, they're always like, oh, it's great. It's just I'm not going to tell them I have a $400 mic and a free, and a tiny little thing. Let them think whatever they think. In fact, I'll look that up so I don't mess up. I'll look it up at the end, and I'll give you that. But yeah, I have a little a condenser mic, and it's great. It's great. Yes, and then
What's one of your things about being a voice actor?
my favorite things about being a voice actor. probably, I work with really great people. And if you're like me, where you knew pretty early that a 9 to 5 was not you were not really suited for that. Voice work is great because it's not every day. You're constantly doing something different. If you don't like what you're doing today, it'll be different tomorrow. And I really love that. It also has stretched me and given me a lot more opportunity than I have on camera. And I do on camera stuff. I'm on a couple of commercials right now in Houston. I do various things, but voice work is kind of unlimited. You can be whatever you're willing to play at. And you have to be willing to sound a fool. Like, let's just say that. You're not going to find out you can do some things unless you're willing to look pretty silly and contort yourself and try some different things. And then some things don't work out. Has anybody seen the show Soul Eater?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I read for the main dude, the main little boy, and I was awful. I worked so hard at that audition, and it was just a bunch of noise and fury, like nothing. It was not good. And at the end of it, Zach, who was casting it, was like, thanks. It just did not work out that day. And I left going, man, you know, I tried my best, and I do so many little boy voices, but it just was not, you know. But I got to play Medusa. And I don't usually get the bad guy. And that was more, for me, a more valuable experience in a show. And a lot of people, you know, in the real world, in the on-camera world, wouldn't think of me for something like that. They would think of me as the young mom, yeah, like the mom. I can't even really say the young mom anymore. The mom, or whatever, the character girl who's weird and pops in and says something. But voice work is whatever. You really get to sort of make your own career, and that is great.
Who was the main one you auditioned for?
What is his name?
Soul Leader?
Soul, yeah.
Soul.
Yeah.
Soul
Yeah,
himself? Okay, yeah. Micah. Micah plays him.
No, it's not Micah, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's Micah.
Oh, okay.
Who? The main girl?
No, I meant the boy. The boy.
The boy.
I was reading for the boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Todd's dead, the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, found out.
Yeah.
That's the two main ones that and the pan behind Black Star, whatever
Yeah.
his name is. I'm like, oh, he's so annoying. So I was like, were you auditioning for him?
Well, I read for all of them.
Oh, good.
And that will tell you something. I got none of them. So when you look at people like us and you think, God, they're in everything, you know, or they must never get told no, that is not the truth. I am told no more often than I'm told yes. And I'm a successful person. So there's definitely a part of you that just has to kind of, you know, you go in. I mean, I think anybody in theater would give you this advice. Just for anything, go in, do your best, and then you leave that at the door. When you're done, you're done. You got to walk away and kind of go, is that my hands? I did my best. That's it.
Have you done any pinter?
Any pinter? So I have done some pinter. I did a pinter play with their dad. Back in grad school, we did Betrayal. And y'all, it was intense. And I think about how young we were, trying to do these very grown-up, like what a different experience it would be to do it now, knowing what we know was life experience. But yeah, it was awesome. So awesome. Yes.
When you did Honey Senpai, what was it like to do Honey Senpai?
Daunting. It was daunting to be him because I auditioned for that from my house in Houston. And by the time I was cast and got to Funimation, I knew that that the title was kind of a big deal. And I was nervous because I've never seen anything drawn like him. And I think he's kind of the cutest, one of the most perfect things that's ever been drawn, that is fine the way it is. And I was kind of scared to give him an English version because I think he's really perfect the way he is. And I was scared to not do him justice. But I love him. I think he's great. And it wasn't until I stopped doing conventions for a while to just kind of be at home with my kids and do stuff. And when I started coming back out last year, one of the first cons I went to, there was so much moron stuff. And I couldn't believe it was still around so much. So I went home and put it in and started watching it and put it in. That sounds like such a old thing to say, but I started watching it again and texted Caitlin, was like, so this may seem to be years late, but thank you for giving me the gift of this show. I don't think you often sort of consider that our directors are the ones who make our careers, in a sense. If they weren't casting us in these things, I wouldn't be standing here. So, and also she's incredible in that show. Haruhi is just amazing. But yeah, that was awesome. Yes.
Can you say, can I have more cake?
Let's see. Can I have more cake? Let's all eat the cake.
Eat it. Let's eat it. He's precious. He's precious. And I love when you hear about what a fierce fighter he is, but it's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah.
But when he opens up the can, it's amazing. It's wonderful. Yes. And then you.
I'm guessing number one, you should smoke.
Except actors because you tend to try to. Yeah.
Certain like drinks or food, that'll affect your voice. You should avoid.
That's 100% true. Yes.
Okay.
And yes, I would not recommend smoking. In fact, I used to smoke, but I quit when I was 30 because I was afraid I would blow it. I was getting so much voice work that I would get bronchitis every 4 months or so, and I was just afraid I was really going to blow it. And I quit. But there are still people who do. It is not good for you. Everybody knows this. When you start smoking, you do not start smoking to think you're going to keep smoking forever. But yeah, don't smoke, please. I beg my children not to smoke. And they're young enough right now that they're really sort of like judgmental about it. Like we'll be outside a store and they'll see somebody smoking and they'll go, "Mom, they're smoking," where you're like, yeah. But yes, so when you're recording, even though coffee is the nectar, it really doesn't help your vocal cords. And chocolate, sweets, not good while you're recording. It just gums up your mouth. Your saliva gets real tacky and clicky. Your voice gets real clicky. Which now there are ways to sort of take that stuff out. But you never want the engineer to give you one of these like, do you have water in there? It's just kind of gross. And you're like, sorry. Water, tea, and sleep are the best things for your voice. Water, tea, and sleep. And they say, vocal rest and all that. In fact, I went to an audiobook convention and I had the really valuable experience of sitting in front of a very famous audiobook person who was so unconnected to reality. Because he would be like, oh, I get up and I drink this much water a day. And then somebody else does all of my research and I have vocal rest and then I go in and I do my thing. And I thought, you don't have kids and you don't have a life, I don't think, outside of this, Most of us do not have that luxury of just kind of protecting our cords as though they're gold. But water, sleep, and rest, water, sleep, and like hot tea and stuff like that, throat coats, most of us, the traditional medicinals, is almost in every studio, I know. It's a great one, traditional medicinals, the throat coat. Yeah. Yes?
So I have a friend that wasn't able to make it. We complained to come here, especially when we found out you were showing up and she's a fan of Honey Senpai.
Yes.
So I wanted to surprise her with something if you're able to do so. If you could give like a shout out to her as Honey Senpai.
Sure. Why don't we do it afterward?
Sure thing.
Okay? And yeah, just so. But yeah, I'd love to do it. It's great. I was yelling at people through the phone yesterday as Nami.
I heard that.
I know, with her shark teeth, whenever she has her shark mouth.
This is actually going to be a two-parter. First of all, concerning projects like One Piece, which are larger projects, how are y'all as voice actors able to operate, work certain shows around smaller projects in the meantime? And second of all, what about people who suffer from seasonal allergies? Like, what do y'all normally recommend for?
Well, that just
Bad.
bites you guys. I mean, allergies are just bad. And you know, some of you live in southern Louisiana. I live in Houston, and it's all bayou and gross. There's stuff in the air most of the year, and it's terrible. I need to be going and getting those shots, but I haven't yet. I have, and I don't even have a good remedy. I'm a good faker most of the time. I take, what is that? Mucinex. And
the nasal spray or the
both. Well, there's a nasal spray, right? There's sort of those nasal steroid kind of things.
Flonase.
We have those. But before, if I'm recording like on an audiobook all day, I'll take Mucinex and some good old ibuprofen. Because what happens is all that stuff gets down to your throat and irritates it, and then it gets sore, and you start going hoarse. So the anti-inflammatory helps. Weird. Ibuprofen, like straight up ibuprofen. And yeah, the when you're stopped up, that's the thing, they can hear that too. I was in recording on this amazing show I cannot talk about yet, but I am so excited to, and I can't wait until they announce it. And I'd already recorded some on it, and I came in, and Ricardo, the engineer, was like, I hear your nasal cavity. I hear it. And so he created a nasal filter where he could put it on and it took it out. But I'm here to tell you, most engineers won't do that. They'll just be like, you need to go home, you sound sick. But he's amazing, and he goes the extra distance. But yeah, that's where like those Atherin and those kind of things, but be careful about using those. They say that you shouldn't use it too much. But it will clear everything out. Like magic, it's probably poisonous. But everything that works is bad for you, so whatever. But that's what I use. And in terms of like how we stack projects, it's usually, you know, our business is very much when it rains, it pours. Usually if you're busy, it's just Tetris. It's just a game of Tetris. And you try to put whatever you're doing that's yelly at the end of the day. Is if your director is kind. And the people that don't know are usually people who are not actors. That put you at the beginning of the day and have a bunch of yelling stuff. And you know that they're not actors. They're not thinking through what it means for the day. You know. Yes.
This is like a two-part.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character to voice? And whoever it is, like, can you say your favorite line in that voice?
Well, let's see. One of my favorite characters to voice, I have a whole lot. For different reasons. But my first one was this little show called Princess Tutu. And has anybody seen it? It's so good, isn't it? And it's dark, like it sounds like a princess type, but it's dark. It's dark. And it's lovely, and I like that show because it's so lovely. But she's three different people. She's all the same person, but she's a duck. And then she is a little girl named Duck. And then she is the ballerina superhero, Princess Tutu. And so
When she's a duck, she kind of talks like a duck, and super cute.
it's just, it's so precious. It's so cute. You know, and she,
Senior Muto.
it's just so sweet. Then she's a little girl. She's a really klutzy, awkward, precious little,
Oh, Senior Muto. Is it Senior Muto? I can't believe it's Senior Muto. Oh my God.
you know, just precious, with precious little friends. And then when she becomes Princess Tutu, it's
This very princessy, ballerina-y, like soft but powerful.
oh, it's just the same. I don't know. It's so hard to do it out of context. But if you go and watch the show, you'll see why I love it so much. It's really, really layered, and shows always go along with your life. And at the time, my life was kind of crazy, And that show really bookended a chapter that was on its way out. And you'll see on the DVD extras, it shows me bawling my head off. You can see that on YouTube today. I look like ridiculous, but I am just weeping watching the end of that show because I loved it and it really was kind of the end of the era. Also, that's about when everything in the industry was starting to change and get faster and faster and faster. So I didn't really think about that, but yeah, it was kind of an ending of sorts and a beginning of something else.
Eloise translate. It was very different than some of the other characters you play. What was it like playing Eloise?
Has anybody seen Black Butler? So yeah, Eloise is a little different. In fact, at the audition, when they had us in, there was kind of a disclaimer about him that they had to give to everybody. You know, are you okay playing this character that is, how do you describe him? And they would show it, you know, and then what you do is you watch the scene. And it was this scene where, it's that really weird, creepy scene where he puts his finger in her eye. That is the audition scene. So it's like, I have a tea party, and then there's, playing him was a real trip. And that is definitely, one, because I think vocally that was really hard. I love doing accents, and especially English accents, but as a boy, and with all the different layers that he has, and, you know, Claude, hello, it's so nice to meet you. It's just different. But that is really where, you know, and sometimes we get the whole how can you play various people. But acting is always acting as if I wasn't me, as if I was in somebody else's skin. And when you do that, you end up sort of, you know, like his backstory is sad and terrible, and we create the monsters of our society. We create them. And that's a perfect example of that. So I was grateful for that opportunity. It was a stretch and it was hard. Plus, the guy who was directing, Ian, loved that show so much. He took such great care of it that I was just glad to be a part of that cast. It's great. Eloise. There was a great cosplayer, an Eloise cosplayer around here earlier in the weekend. Another question?
Yeah. What is your favorite moment in My Hero Academia?
My favorite
Moment.
in My Hero Academia.
Yes.
I like, well, there are so many, but I really do think that Ochako and Bakugo's fight was awesome. I wish, no, I'm not gonna say that. I don't wanna give a spoiler. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. We watched it last night. Oh, come on in, you guys. We watched it last night and live tweeted from the hotel room, me and Cliff and David. And that was hilarious. We never watched the shows together. It's so different. It was really fun. It was super fun. But yeah, I thought that was awesome. Also, I like it when you get to have little hints into Ochako's motivations when she talks about her family and why she does what she does. There are really great keys into her character. She's best girl. What can I say? She's awesome. But there are so many great. That's why I think that show is such a great one to kind of try to go mainstream. I think there's somebody for everybody. It's such an accessible show. It's so great. Everybody is good in it. I can't even do Froppy's voice. I don't know how Monica is pulling that out. I don't even know how she does it. Amazing. And you know Chris Sabat lobbied to be nominated. He was like, I really want to be this. I mean, I don't know if he really did this, but he talked to people. He was like, I really want to be this character.
Duden is one of my favorites that you do. Appleseed was one of the first ones her and I watched. It's my daughter. And I got her into anime with Appleseed. And
She dragged me into it. It's
It's
her fault.
Yeah, Princess Tutu was one of the first ones she watched when she was little.
Yeah.
And then we watched Appleseed together. What was Duden like for you?
It's so great. That series has been a real gift too. That's the first time I ever worked with a Japanese producer in the room. Aramaki came and was in the room.
Oh my gosh.
I did not know that was going to happen. In fact, I was cast in the one we did, the first one we did, Ex Machina, I think it was, when I was ill, when I was sick. And so I already had this kind of low, gruff thing going on, and then I was cast, and I was like, ha, that worked out for me. But then when I showed up, it was this whole cadre of Japanese people in the room with one Korean producer. And Aramaki-san is very nice and kind and does not speak English. and you're just like, sort of starstruck. He's amazing and everybody is cool. But the funniest thing about that is my first session with that amazing dude in the room was, there's a point at the beginning of that show where the church is about to blow up and Dunan is running and trying to get out, and at one point she slides under a thing that's coming down and pops up and it's like this. And we did it once, and Steven, the director, said, okay, so this time, and he pushed the button and they're all talking through the interpreter and whatever, and he comes back and he goes, okay, honey, they want you to be like, when you're running for the door, like, running faster. Okay. And so we do it, and I'm like, running faster. And I look out, and there's nobody because they're all down laughing. They're like this, and I'm just standing there. And Steven's hand comes up and he goes, oh my God, act like you're running faster. Don't say running faster. Which is like this crazy, like actor 101, what are you doing, moment of, and I, oh my God. It all worked out. But even Aramaki's song was like, so funny. I could not get over it. Like the interpreter is telling him what's going on, and he's ridiculous. But that was such a gift. And it's so weird because we did movies over there at ADV Films, and then it was Sentai, and then Funimation got it and got the rights to the anime. And so I played it at both places. And it's wild. It's just crazy. Again, I couldn't have created this career I have in my brain if I had tried. Did somebody over here have a question? I don't know what I saw. Another question? Yes?
Okay, so I can't remember fast this. What is the process with translating from Japanese to English? Is there like somebody doing that, or y'all just have to try to follow what you think they're saying? Like, how
Thank
does it
God we
work?
do not have to try to follow it.
Yeah.
No, there is a translator. There are translators who get the material. This is why sometimes stuff, even with the simuldubs, is a little bit late, because everything is dependent on the studio getting materials from the Japanese. Whenever we get the materials, a translator translates it, and then hopefully a writer gets the raw translation and writes a script based off of that. So they're always trying to stay true to what it is, but help it fit the flaps. Rewrite it to make it fit the flaps. And then that comes to production. And usually things change a little bit in production as we go along. Something a week too short or too long, or they may have missed something. But that's how that works. So I know that's the thing with My Hero Academia about how many episodes we get to release as simuldubs. It's all dependent on, it's not us, or it's not Funimation, it's how much materials they get and when they get the materials. Yes?
How did you feel when you first got into voice acting?
How did I feel when I first started to do voice acting? I was grateful to be working. And I say that just because it's not the best answer, and I know that, but I was not a fan of anime at the time, but I was a working actor, and I really wanted to move out of my aunt's house. And the more work I got, the more I was like, hey, I'm a working actor doing this for my living. Maybe I don't have to move to New York or a different market to do this. Because there's a common misconception that you must go to a coast in order to be successful, and that is not true. That is not true. Some of our good friends have moved out to LA, and they're doing great. But you know what? We work on the same product. It is the same there as it is here at the end of the day, And so I say, where you get work, yay for you. That's how I felt. I was like, I can't believe I'm making a living as a working actor in Houston, Texas. I had no frame of reference of anybody ever doing that in my life for me. But I'm glad to be able to tell people now that you can make those kind of careers happen. And again, I do it with a basket. My basket of work includes film work, commercial work, anime work, game work, industrial work, audiobook work. What else do I do? I speak here and there and make money. I do all these different things, you know? It's a big world of acting is a lot. You can do a lot within it. That's where I think actually LSU prepared me, and I didn't understand how well I was being prepared to have a big bag of tricks. Very big bag of tricks. Yes.
All right, first off, I wanted to say, yes, my dad sticked me up to that first question.
I bet he did.
And secondly, so do you, whenever you're voice acting, do you do most of it by yourself, or do you do most of it with the other voice actors?
That's a good question. We always record by ourselves. And that is just because, can anybody guess why?
It's not really a question, it's like a small request. Do you think you could give us a little bit about Luci Christian, please?
I sure will, in just one moment, I totally will. We record by ourselves because the engineer is trying to match the flaps. And if we step on each other, it's gonna mess up the take. Does that make sense? So when I go in, and not everybody does it this way, again, I've been doing this for a long time. So when I go in, I generally record scenes. Like I'll just record a scene. And they'll show it to me one time and I'll just start reading and we'll go to the end. And I just record my parts and imagine what everybody is saying around me. And then the engineer fits those into place and we play it back and see what's working and what's not, or what fits or what doesn't, right? So that's an efficient way to do it. And especially now with things being so like, is that thing done yet? Everybody is about time and efficiency and all of that. So if you had a bunch of people in there, they would be spending a lot of time trying to figure out where everybody goes and if that's a clean take and if somebody stepped on somebody else. Also, actors, if you don't know, we're a bunch of chatty Cathys who cannot be quiet. The boys are the worst. They would be goosing each other and being ridiculous. So this is probably the best way to do it. Also, you get shows like on One Piece where we've all worked together for years and years and years, and we know what everybody in that show sounds like. I know exactly how Brina's going to say her line, and so it's easy to play off of them when they're not there. I know them. We know each other. We know each other's voices so well. Eloise Trancy. Let's see. I wish I had I was telling people, hello. Let's see if we can. Do you know how to? Oh wait, no. I know how to work the thing. Maybe. Check. So, let's see. Hello, Claude. Don't wig out. It's okay. Let's see. What can I say? It's a lovely day in Baton Rouge. I'm having a lovely time. Really not as bad as I'm drawn. Not really. Not really. And so if I mess that up out of context, forgive me. But yeah, he was amazing. It's a weird voice that he has, and it's creepy and oily. Awesome. Yes. More questions? Yes?
Are any of your family members like big fans of the shows that you're in? Specifically My Hero Academia, since it's coming out.
No, I think they're glad for me. They're proud of me. My dad never thought the arts was somewhere you could make a living. So I think that they're ecstatic and admiring that I've been pretty gainfully employed for a while. But no, even my kids are just now starting to kind of come into what I do. So no, not really. And my kids are discerning critics. Like they critique my book reading to them. My daughter will be like, that was a good voice you did there. I've ruined them. I've ruined them for life. My husband cannot read to them without getting a lot of side eye. Mom does not do it like that. Yes.
Do you have a favorite side student in My Hero Academia?
Oh gosh, so many. So many. What one isn't coming to mind? I really love everybody. I think that's kind of the genius of that show right now. I mean, we were watching it last night. We even last night were joking, like some random voice in the crowd was like, hey, that's Vic! Being like some random voice in the crowd, but everybody knows his voice so well that we're like, Vic is some random dude in the crowd going, where's Alma? You know, or whatever. But no, I really think like everybody is so great in that show. Side characters, main characters, and it's all really seamless. Sometimes it's hard for me to pick. Yes.
So what are all the companies that you work for?
For anime, I pretty much only work for Sentai Filmworks and Funimation. I've been out to work for Bang Zoom before. I haven't done that in years and years though. Like I said, I kind of stopped traveling for a little while, for a few years. But I've been asked when I'm ready. I've been told I could try auditioning out
So
there.
Funimation is in Houston.
No, Funimation is in Dallas.
Dallas.
And Sentai Filmworks is in Houston. And there are 250 miles between them. So it's a commute. Yeah. That's why for things like simuldubs are so big right now. And I don't know about other actors, but I can't do a lot of them because I cannot go up every week. But I do, like for My Hero Academia, I made an exception because it's such a great show. And because it's such a cast-heavy show, it's very rare that Ochako has a ton of lines. So going up every other week is usually enough, and I usually knock out 2 episodes while I'm up there. So, and especially when the first season, it was over the summer. So I just took my kids, and my brother lives 15 minutes from the studio. So they hung out at the pool a lot, and Mama went to work. So all these things, it's weird. I think all of us have various things that play into our decisions, but I'm really trying to do a good job of working and not having my family get less of me. I don't know how to say that, but trying to marry it all in a good way. Also because I want to be involved at home. When I was single, I was very much nomadic and I was gone all the time and it was fine. But especially now that I have kids, when I was growing up, we moved a lot. And I want my kids to be really connected to their community. So that's why I am PTO president. And all of that. We are in Girl Scouts. Oh my God. Like, I'm trying desperately not to be a leader of Girl Scouts, but because I am already a leader in too many things, but I just see it. I see it there. Yes.
Okay, I think they may have asked this already, but you work in One Piece.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a favorite story arc? Since it's such a long going anime.
It's so long. I really love the Skypiea arc.
Okay.
I had a really fun time with that. And honestly, because when we started that show, if you don't know about the history of that show, it's super interesting. 4 Kids did it. Do you know this?
Yes.
4 Kids did it. And then for years, and then the Japanese said, we're going to take that property back. And Funimation bought it, or they approached Funimation. I don't know what happened, but Funimation got the property, and the Japanese said, we want it all redone. So there was this massive audition where everybody auditioned because you knew if you got that show, you would be winning the anime lottery.
Yeah.
Because it goes on forever. I mean, I've been working on it for 11 years. So crazy. So we all auditioned for that, and what they did was everybody auditioned, and then Mike and them would get a little group that they thought was the best representative auditions, and they sent them to the Japanese, and the Japanese picked the cast. So when Mike called me at my little house in Houston and said, they want you, but you need to know what you're getting into. You don't live here, and it's gonna be a long time. And anyway, so it's awesome, but we started in the 200s, I think. Because of the production schedule, and it was on TV at the time, and I don't know, there was a bunch of contract stuff going on. We didn't know people's names. We didn't know correct pronunciations of places and things. We had 3 different studios going at one time, and people running between them going, how are you saying this name? Okay. Like, trying to, because we had these TV things to live up to, these contracts to fulfill. So when we finally went back and started recording at the beginning, I finally got to see Nami's backstory. Well after we had started recording. So when we finally got to her whole backstory, I was like, what? So all of that was really precious to me too. And that whole scene with her trying to cut her tattoo out of her arm, and all of that was just like, oh, what? So that's also kind of one of my favorite experiences with the show, is getting to, since we did it all out of order, it was just wild to get that information a little late. Luckily, we've had years and years and years more of it, so crazy. How are we on time?
Like about 7 minutes.
Oh, perfect. My favorite genre. I like the slice of life animes the best, I think. Like Clannad. Yeah, just the slice of life. You know, they're so precious and fun, and but I mean, it's hard. I'm hard pressed to. I say that, and then I go. But I also really like interesting stylistic things. Like I felt like one of the coolest things about Soul Eater was that it just looked so cool, and stylistically, it was just such a cool thing to work on. And the romances are fun too, though. There was this little show called Pre-Tier back in the day. Do you remember Pre-Tier? It was only 12 episodes. But you guys, it was so good. It was so great. I wanted more of it. And their little Himeno and what's his face? So good. Yeah. The thing is like with the really action, you have less lines to say, right? Because so much of the anime is the art and the big explosions and fighting. You do a lot of fighting sounds and screaming things and screaming, this is what I'm about to do! You know, whatever. So it's just a different experience. That's all. Different experience. Yes?
Who's one of your favorite voice actors you work with?
Let's see. Well, you know, we don't work with each other often, but voices I love to. Oh, this is kind of funny. I mean, I've worked with people like Chris Patton and Chris Ayers, and I did a show that is not for kids called Narration Brothers. It's a musical, and they will always be some of my favorite people to play with. They are so fun, and all of our backgrounds are in theater. And we did work together a lot because we dubbed the open and the close and all this stuff. But here is something that is true. Bryson, who is here this weekend, he is Belle in Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Or Dungeon. And I had never met him before. I am his love interest in the show. I had never met Bryson. And he's wonderful, as I knew he would be. But we've been in shows opposite each other at Sentai and have never met. So that is the bananas thing about our business. But hopefully, if we do our job right, you would never guess that. You would be like, they're right there together in a room, staring longingly into each other's eyes. Yes.
What is the most stressful part about voice acting?
The most stressful part about voice acting.
Maybe the travel, or like redo this line, or the so many hours you have.
For me, the travel is a pain, but that is for everybody. That is not unique to me, or that is just everybody. If you had to travel 5 hours to go to work, but I do it fairly infrequently. They work with me very well. Oh, in fact, I should tell this story because this is a real testament to the people we work with, okay? When I started having my panic attacks, in fact, I was up there working with Mike, the first one I ever had. He took me to one of those weird clinics in a box in the strip center. So sweet. And I was like, I don't know what's happening, honey, but we've known each other forever. So after I sort of figured out what was going on and was trying yoga and all this stuff and diet to try to regulate, I finally took Mike, I went up to work at Funimation, I took Mike to lunch, and I said, I've enjoyed every moment of this, but I need a break. I've got to figure out what is going on. And I understand, I didn't have any shows at the time. I had not been auditioning for new stuff. I was just maintaining stuff I was already in. And I said, I understand what I got into with One Piece, and I understand if you need to recast me, because I need to take I cannot come up every month. I can't come up every other month. I needed once every 3 months would be fine, but I don't expect y'all to do that for me. You know what I mean? I'm a realist and I get it. And he was like, honey, well, let's go talk to Justin and see. And, you know, they were like, we love you and you are Nami and we will make it work. These are the people I work with. And part of that is me showing up. You know, I live far away from the studio, but they would never know that because I am dependable and I'm a good actor. I want to be liked and I want to work. But that is a real testament. They didn't have to do that. And so for a couple of years, I went up every 3 or 4 months and they just made it work. They just made it work. So the studios are great. So they have, knowing that kind of stuff is there alleviates a lot of stress. But really the hardest thing about voice work is just maintaining your voice and your stamina. When I do go up to animation, I generally work from 10 to 6. And so you have to be ready to work and your voice can't give out. And if you've got other stuff around it, like if you're working on audiobooks and have other stuff back in town, it's probably just like any other profession, right? If you are busy, you have to learn to manage yourself where you're not complaining about work and taking care of yourself. Because in our industry, I may be super busy right now, but I may not be next week. And I always have to remember that. There's nobody is obligated to hire you back when a show is over. It's a constant thing. So taking care of yourself, being grateful, being easy to work with, making everybody's lives easier. If you need to complain about something, go home and do it to your significant other. Not on the internet, for the love of all that is decent. You guys, never complain on the internet about work or anything. I'm telling you, it'll bite you in the butt. Don't do it. Set yourself apart by not doing that. Your employers will thank you. You don't know how many times I hear, on the down low, of people at studios passing people over for auditions because of stuff that was said on the internet. And it may have even been misinterpreted. Or people outing themselves as, just kind of being posting pictures of characters they play before it's been announced. A studio will hunt you down. They are so persnickety about that stuff because there's all this legalese and goofy whatnot, and marketing teams have planned the unveiling of the dubcast, and even though it doesn't seem like a big deal to you guys, they are really antsy about that stuff. So one more. Is David here?
No, he's not here. It's David at 12:15.
It's David.
Oh, right, God. Okay, we just have a little bit of overlap. That's
And
good.
if he just gives you, you know what, just ignore him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've known him forever too, yes.
You said that you actually were into acting before you did voice acting. How young were you when you started acting?
Well, my mom put me on stage when I was 3 to be in a talent show. And that was when I won my first trophy. And I did beauty pageants and stuff. It's such a southern thing to say, but my mom put me in beauty pageants. But it wasn't until I lived in tiny Texas towns for most of my life. And we did not have drama clubs and stuff like that. But when I was in high school, we did have one-act play, UIL one-act play. And I started doing one-act play and started having some real success. And I'm telling you, it's just it's the story, right? It was the first thing I was truly, naturally good at. Where I went, oh, this isn't hard. This is so fun for me, and it's not hard. And my senior year, I started getting scholarship offers, and I never thought I could parlay it into a career. career. I didn't know anybody who had ever done that. Again, small Texas towns. I don't know anybody who's a professional actor. Seems like such a weird pipe dream. And certainly nobody in Texas. You would have to go to some like crazy place like New York, which seemed a million miles away from anything I could have done. But yeah, I started getting these scholarship offers. And then my guidance counselor at the time heard of this scholarship offer at a little college in West Texas called Angelo State University, offering a full ride. And I went and auditioned, and I got a letter in a couple of weeks that said, if you will change your major from journalism to theater, we will pay your way to college. And I was like, huh. So I went and did that. And then I met a boy there, and he wanted to go to grad school at LSU. So we both applied, and we both got in this graduate program. And then he ended up dropping out a year into the program, and I stayed the 3 years. And that, I always felt like that was a real gift that God gave me, to deal with a lot of stuff and to learn so much. I did not know how much I would learn at LSU, and it has served me my entire career. My entire career.
I have a question because I've never actually.
Yes, Suzette.
Since you took theater, did you do a lot of musicals or anything? I never asked that because people don't talk musicals much.
I did in undergrad, and I did a couple in grad school, but here's the thing, I'm not a trained singer. I do not have a great voice. I am a character actor, straight up, when it comes to musicals. Yeah. When it comes to musicals. So I can fake it as long as I have a great character to latch onto, is pretty much how it is. But yeah, I did theater, and I loved it. I mean, that's where the soul work, that's the stuff that, you know. But in Houston, when I moved to Houston, I did a couple of shows at the Alley. I did a few shows at Stages and Main Street Theater. And when I started to get healthy, well, it's sort of, my career was taking off, and I was getting healthier and stuff. And theater is so much time for so little money that it fell by the wayside. But I hope to go back. I hope to do it again. Like I said, it's where, that's work you cannot replicate anywhere else. It's just not the same.
Was my dad helpful to you?
Yes. Adolfo was my roommate for a while. We lived on Bedford Street over by Baton Rouge High. And yeah, he was. In fact, we did summer theater together, summer children's theater. Is that right? Playmakers at Baton Rouge. Y'all, that is called paying some dues. Traveling children's theater in the hot pit of summer in not air-conditioned gymnasiums. I lost so much water weight, and we would just be eating our food in the car, traveling around. Yeah. I've also played, talking about paying dues, when I first met my husband, we had just met, and I was out playing, they have something in Houston called the Chevron Marathon. And I was hired to be the chevron, like the car. I was the car, and I had on black tights and running shoes, and I was supposed to, they would take me around on the marathon trail, and I would have the car and drive the car around. It was exhausting. The thing was heavy. I was like, I'm too old for this. I'm not doing it anymore. I've paid my dues. I'm done with this kind of work. Like, this is it. And in fact, my husband still remembers, he was following me around trying to find me. This is why I associate him. We have a picture on our wall of him with me as the car. He walked up and he found me and he goes, hey, I've been looking for you all over. And my words through the little mesh were, I am dying 1,000 deaths. I have never played one of those kind of costumed characters again. It is hard work. In fact, we took our kids to New Orleans last summer for an extended weekend. It was so much fun. And we ran into the Pokemon over there by Cafe Du Monde.
Yeah.
And I mean, my kids remember that Pokemon. And I was just like, you are a rock star. I know how gross it is inside that suit. I know how the kids come up and like push you over and you're trying to still be like, I love you so much, you know. That is a certain kind of work. I mean, it's a paycheck. It is a paycheck. You earn every red cent. More questions? Another question? Yes?
What was the hardest character you ever voiced?
The hardest. I have a question. I have an answer for that. There is a show, I don't know if anybody's seen it, called Magical Shopping Arcade Abanabashi.
I've seen that.
Yes. It is a weird, awesome show, right? I think it's a good way to describe it. Super weird, incredibly awesome. I play a little boy named Sashi, and that was back when we had paper scripts. Now everything is on the monitors, but we had paper scripts, and it's so talky that my script for one episode would be that thick. And it's mostly me and the girl. And I would highlight it. I would highlight all of my lines and count backwards to give myself a game to play to get through it, of if I could beat my record of cues per hour or whatever. This is how I got through, because it was so hard. The voice was difficult, and my director was difficult. I love him, and he would agree with that. He was hard, it was difficult. We worked long hours. I lost my voice a whole bunch, but we couldn't stop. And he has a real, let's see, I don't even know if I could do Sashi. It's really low. We were using accents. There was a lot of screaming and yelling. And Don was a real perfectionist, my director. So he would not take something that was great, that was, I mean, within a millisecond of fitting. All the engineer had to do was go, you know, no, he would make us do it again. And that was with everything. With a line-heavy show like that, it was mind-numbing. But it was such a great show. Like, I love the show, and I'm proud of the show. If you watch it, it's incredible. He did a great job. It was the hardest working experience of my life. And in fact, he paid homage to me at the end. On the last DVD, after all the credits, there's a placard or a place card that pops up that says, "Rest in peace, Luci Christian's vocal cords." And over it is one of the endless, like this endless 2-minute scream of whatever. And I was like, thanks, Don. Thanks for that. I mean, thanks for acknowledging that was hard.
Was it fun, and how many times did you lose the voice in the episode where you had to parody Dragon Ball Z in that series?
Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't have to do it that many times, so it was fine for me. I'm late to the whole DBZ stuff. Like, that happened before I got up to Funimation. And so I was just so excited to be in the world of that I was like, I will say it as many times as you want, Kamehameha. I will do it. I will do it. That's a blast, but it really is a different, like, you think you'd be able to do that, but there are tricks actors use to protect their voices. Do you know this? Like, when you scream, put an H on the front of that thing. It's weird. And you can hear it, like now you'll hear it in almost every anime. It's not, ah, it's, ha! It saves your vocal cords. Weird little tricks. Weird little tricks of the trade. David Matranga. He's going to take over in a minute. Any other burning desire questions? Anything about this? Has been so fun. Do you have one more? No? Yes.
Would you be able to sign something?
I will sign something. Why don't we, so we have 5 minutes before David's panel starts. Why don't we sign anything in this 5 minutes that anybody wants signed? I'll do your thing for, who am I doing? Honey, yes, we'll do that. And then if you guys want to hang out, or if you want to go hang it back there, and we can go hang out and talk for a little bit. You guys, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. And you just come on up. If you have anything to sign, bring me up.